Now we're rolling. Damage Plan MMA podcast. I am Jason. As always, my co-host, Mr. Zach Partridge, is with me. How you doing, sir?
Good. How are you?
Pretty good, man. Pretty good. We had a exciting weekend of fights this past weekend.
Man, it was pretty good. We had the Gegard Mousasi Douglas Lima card on Thursday night.
Yep.
And that was fun. You know, Douglas Lima too little, too late, but he made it a competitive, fun fight.
Yeah, he did. He did make it. He made it interesting.
Made it interesting at the end. It's kind of slow start. I think he struggled with Mousasi's power in the first couple rounds.
Yeah, I think so too. And he might have been giving him a little bit too much respect too. But I mean,
sure.
props to Mousasi.
Sure. Props to Lima too for going up a weight class.
Exactly.
China.
Yeah, exactly.
It's not a bad loss losing to Gegard Mousasi.
No, not at all. Then Friday we had LFA, which that was probably the best card of the weekend. That whole LFA card was phenomenal.
Yeah, we watched a good portion of that. The Joji and Eddie fight was, I can't even remember the kid that he fought. Some of the worst judging I've ever seen, but all in all, a good fight.
Oh, that was the one where they gave that kid the
he was in a triangle choke.
He was in a triangle literally the whole round.
For like 4 minutes of the round, and he won the round magically for surviving.
Yeah, everybody was like, what the hell was going on with that?
But the other kid clearly won the second round, and then the third round was a toss-up. So it's not like, I don't think Giannetti got robbed, but I think he won. I don't know, but he didn't get it. But it was an entertaining fight. The whole fight was really entertaining.
Aaron McKenzie, that's who he fought.
Aaron McKenzie.
Aaron McKenzie, yeah. That was a great fight, though. Great fight. But then the main event, Lupita Godinez and Vanessa Demopoulos. Oh, wow.
Banging fight.
That's got to be up there for fight of the year.
Well, not just fight of the year, because it was looking so lopsided.
Yeah.
But like potential almost comeback of the year. What up, Cody?
Dude, how many times and I told you this before you watched it because you didn't watch it live. Nope. How many times did you say, throw in the towel?
Yeah, I watched it this morning when you told me because I wanted to know what you're talking about. And yeah, dude, that was crazy. I could not believe the beating that the ref allowed her to take. And first off, and then second off, because he could have stopped that multiple times and it would not have been a bad stoppage.
100%.
But the second of all, for her to have the mental fortitude and championship mindset to keep pushing, and she was thrown back. She was still in it.
She was still in it. She could have won it.
She was trying, like.
Was it unanimous? It was a majority. So
majority.
So they actually, one of the judges gave her the fight.
Yeah. It was a draw.
You know what I think? Dude, her coaches need to do something. Her stand-up, she got beat like that against
the Contender Series girl.
Not only her, she did get beat by her, but then the fight before that, she won against that Sam Hughes chick, and she was getting beat the whole fight, and then she inverted triangle her like the last minute.
Yeah. So
it's like, come on, like you got to get some head movement in there.
There needs to be some defensive. Defensive striking in there as well, and not just blocking punches with your face and letting the other person's arms get tired punching you in the face.
I don't know about you,
but it's a bad strategy for longevity in this career.
I don't want. Go ahead. Sorry.
And her third fight in 15 weeks, and she's taken a lot of punishment in all three of those fights. I start worrying about fighters that are doing that and that fight style. I mean, all props to your heart and your chin and stuff.
Yeah.
But at the same time, that is not a recipe for longevity in this sport. I don't care if you're a strawweight female.
Could she be the what's his name? Mickey Ward of women's mixed martial arts? Like,
you know who it reminded me of?
What's that?
Darren Elkins.
Yeah. That was
How about that comparison?
You got to give Godinez props. That chick can crack. She can crack.
Who did I say she looked like this morning?
She looks like Amanda Nunes out there.
She looks like a little strawweight Amanda Nunes.
I mean,
gives no respect to her opponent's power, knows that her power is going to overwhelm her opponent, marches forward, has good technical striking. She's not out there just blocking punches with her face, but man, when she commits to a punch, she cracks, bro.
She's solid, man. I'm impressed with her. I'd like to see him run it back because I know she fought that Sam Hughes chick back in the amateur ranks, but I was
her and Sam Hughes need to fight now.
I've been super impressed. They had a draw before, and then she beat her by unanimous decision 2 years ago. But Sam Hughes has come a long ways. I was impressed with her in her last fight, so I'd like to see her fight. Let them go down, and then the UFC's got to call both of those girls up, I think.
Absolutely. With how shallow those divisions are, they are getting deeper, but they're still not they're not super deep by any means.
Yeah.
And there's some young talent coming up.
And then Saturday we had, well, before we even get in the UFC, I don't know if there's any boxing fans out there, but freaking Gervonta Davis.
Knockout of the year.
Oh, man. And
knockout of the year.
You could say he was losing that fight. He was getting caught. I mean, it wasn't hurting him. I think he knew, because that kid was the smaller fighter.
He was getting touched.
I mean, you start seeing him step up in the ranks.
That's not going to fly.
Fighting a Bud Crawford or somebody like that. You fight Lomachenko, he's just going to get
That's not going to fly, bro.
But that power, you can't, he's going to be like Deontay Wilder. You can't replace that power.
Wow, let's get him up against some higher competition too, and see how that power translates.
Well, according to Floyd Mayweather, this was a contender, but
stop it.
Oh,
stop. I mean, Floyd Mayweather's going to go to bat for his guy, and as a promoter too, that's what he's going to do
for sure.
Yeah, let's see him against a real contender. You throw him in that with that homeboy that just beat Lomachenko. You think he's legit?
No.
You know what I mean? And that dude cracks too. You want to talk about two power punchers, but those boys will crack.
Yeah.
Gervonta Davis fights another dude that can crack. He's in trouble because he needs to spend a little more time working out with Floyd and work on those shoulder rolls and all that. You know what I mean?
Yeah. He'll be, I mean, I think the only reason that fight was a pay-per-view is because, well, they had a ton of fans in the audience in attendance.
Really?
Yeah, there was a lot of people there. Anyway, yeah. Well, anyways, off to UFC now. Where do you want to start on this card? It's a good card. Let's just start at the bottom, and we'll just jam through some of these ones.
So me and you were both dead wrong on Kevin Natividad.
Dude, he did not look like he looked in all of his tapes leading up to this.
Yeah, it looked to me like he had a little bit too much respect for Miles John's power.
Well, for good reason. Well, but there's respect, and then there's being too cautious. Yeah.
At the end of the day, it's still a fight. And I felt like Navidad, he had his success, I thought, when he was getting in there and in the pocket and trading with him a little bit.
Yeah. Dead wrong on that one. So we definitely called that one wrong.
But whatever.
Our boy Justin Ledet. Oh man.
I'll say this. I felt like Justin was really finding his timing.
Yeah.
But I mean, if on the feet, because in his hands and his boxing was starting to show, and it was showing on Dustin Jacoby's face. But it's 2020 and this sport is evolving, and the art of the calf kick is just becoming a new element. It's going to be really, really interesting to see what the development in offensive and defensive striking comes to be the counter to that.
Yeah.
Because Justin's a boxer, so he has a lot of that weight on that front leg, right?
Yeah.
And so it makes it really hard to check those. I don't know, man.
You could tell he wasn't ready for those calf kicks.
No, he wasn't. But it's a, I felt like Justin, that does hats off to Dustin Jacoby, because he had a game plan and he executed it. And, he 8 years since he'd been in the UFC, and it was a long road back, and he got there and he got a W.
He got the W. Good for him.
Just got to tip your hat to him. But, obviously we're a little biased on our hometown guy and your former roommate, Justin Ledet. And, and I've trained with him a few times. I really like him. And
he's a great guy. Great
dude. And just hope we get a chance to see him in there again.
We had talked before, and I think he wants to kind of head back over into the boxing world, because he's had handful of boxing fights
His
already.
his hands are sick. So
yeah, he's got good hands. So we started off the night 0-2 with our picks, but
sure did.
we
Went with two underdogs though, so it's okay.
we rebounded with the Jason Witt Cole Williams fight, which I think everybody kind of
Jason Witt, the vanilla gorilla.
The vanilla gorilla.
Smashed that dude. That was the bloodiest. That was one of the bloodiest fights I've ever seen.
Yeah, that was, Cole Williams. Yeah.
Pure dominance.
Sean Strickland, same thing.
But man, Sean put on kind of a show with it. That was so entertaining for me.
Him talking to him.
Him talking. He's like, come on, let's fight. Come on, Jack, let's fight.
Last 10 seconds, I'm going to give you a chance to knock me out.
I'm going to give you a chance. Let's go. Dude, I like that. That was fun. And by the way, another perk of not having fans and having those mics in the cage like that, you could hear it. And dude, I miss, I'm to the point now where I do miss the fans and like some of those big cards. Like you want the roar of the crowd, especially, with the, like what we had like, last weekend on, the pay-per-view and stuff like that. And those big fights, it just feels different. But man, I sure enjoyed that.
It was good.
But Sean Strickland, that's a cool comeback story. Motorcycle accident, 2-year layoff.
Yeah, 2-year layoff.
And looked fantastic.
Yeah, he looked good. Props to him too.
Yeah.
This next fight, I want to talk about this too, because Yanez, that Victor Rodriguez kid was not ready for the UFC.
Hey.
What?
Giannis is super impressive.
Very impressive.
Like, I'm sorry, but I think that kid mops pretty much every prospect that he matches up with.
Victor Rodriguez?
No, Giannis.
Giannis? Oh, yeah.
I'm just saying, I think he overwhelms almost all those prospects at that weight class.
Yeah, he's going to be a problem.
He's going to be getting some top 10, 15 or top 15 guys here, like in like 1 or 2 fights.
Well, the thing is Victor Rodriguez wasn't a prospect. He was a late fill-in. Like
we said it and we knew what it was.
Yeah.
The guy does really well in the Alaskan regional circuit. No offense to the Alaska. If we have any fans in Alaska, shout out Alaska. I love fishing up there. Props to Alaska. I love fishing up there. It was the best trip of my life. Week of deep sea fishing in Alaska. And I'm sure you have some great MMA fighters up there. But there's levels to this. And I don't think anybody's ever successfully just fought in Alaska, jumped to the UFC and got on a huge run.
No.
They need to be there. It's just the population stuff it's a little bit too small.
Yeah, I think
he showed some heart. He was just outclassed.
He was significantly outclassed, but that head kick was pretty damn brutal.
Dude, it was beautiful. So for people that don't know, the way he cut him off.
Yeah.
He cut him off so that the only way he had to escape was to go to his right, setting up that left high kick. And so he cut him off. And so he gave him that out to escape, shuffled over, pink left high kick right on the chin. He set it up perfect.
Beautiful.
And that is a young prospect that understands angles, understands cutting people off in the cage correctly and not chasing somebody. But like if you understand what he did there, I mean, that's some next level stuff.
It's impressive, man. He's going to be one to watch out for in that 135 division.
And he's got a cool story.
What was his story? I don't remember it.
Yeah, the whole Contender series that showed that story of him like taking his UFC contract to his dad's grave. His dad passed away. That was his dad's dream for him, and his dad passed away, and just trying to do everything in his dad's memory. It's just kind of cool.
Totally missed that, but that is pretty damn cool.
It was just kind of a cool little. I mean, I think most people, when you get to that level, a lot of those people have pretty inspiring, motivational stories like that. His was just cool. I like it. And he seems like such a good kid, like genuine good kid. I'm a fan.
I like him. The next fight we had Alexander Hernandez, Chris Gruetzemacher.
Love Chris Gruetzemacher. He was fun on The Ultimate Fighter. But
I think we knew what was going to happen in this one. I think we knew Hernandez
is on a different level.
I think we were in unison after those first 2 fights we called wrong. We got the next 3 or 4 right.
Well, people forget. So Alexander Hernandez, right? He jumped up, I think he was 10, 11, 12 and 0, something like that. Fought Cerrone, got super lippy. Donald Cerrone humbled him.
Yeah.
right? Won another fight or two. Ran up against another prospect, Drew Dober.
Drew Dober, yeah.
Got humbled again, right? And so what does he do? He says, I'm the best guy at my gym.
Yep.
I'm not getting better.
Yep.
Moved to Factory X up in Colorado. I believe where Drew Dober trains.
I'm not.
I know Drew Dober's in Colorado. I don't know if he's at Factory X.
No, he's at Elevation.
Elevation. Okay.
At least that's what Tapology says.
Okay. So, but Alexander Hernandez says, goes and joins one of the top 5 gyms in the country.
This is good on him.
Top 8 gyms. Realized I need to go somewhere to better myself.
Yeah.
Made those changes. Chris Grutzbacher is a durable, tough, wrestling-based guy, and Hernandez mops him.
Yeah.
And if you're going to be a future contender like Hernandez expects to be, and I expect him to be, I think he is a future guy that you're going to see once we see the Gaethje, Poirier, McGregor, Ferguson, that guard pass at 155. I think you potentially see a future rematch of like a Drew Dober and a Hernandez.
I can see it.
You know, those guys, I think those guys are going to be making up that top 5 of killers at 155. Hernandez he's still young, and he's young in his career.
He's only 28. Yeah.
He's only 28.
Yeah.
You know, he reminds me of a little bit.
Who's that?
Dustin Poirier.
Kind of is. He does. He's
Good,
got a little,
pretty, like strong, like everything. He's kind of got everything. Just had to get a few setbacks, one step down, 2, 3 forward. He's kind of on that path. I like what I saw though. Like that's what he should do to a Chris Grutzbacher.
So let's talk about the next fight. Zach.
Bad decision.
How was that a bad decision?
Bad decision.
How was that a bad decision?
Stand by it. I mean, not
for the record, I took Moises for the upset.
Good call. The judges, you know what? Sometimes it's okay if the judges screw the other side so that you can win $10. Good job.
Hey, I won. I don't care. Hey,
Bobby Green just lost like 40 grand. You feel okay about that?
I think that, well, a lot of people were like, well, he outstruck him and all that. But part of the judging is effective striking. A lot of those strikes, especially in the first round, they weren't connecting. He was blocking everything. Moises did more damage. He had a huge slam. He had those brutal leg kicks. He wasn't throwing as much, but he caused more damage. So he got the round. I thought he won the round, and I was trying to be objective because I did have money on him, but I really felt he won the round.
Okay.
And then second round, Green won. Third round was close.
Okay.
Oh,
good pick. I mean,
I'll take it. All right.
You'll take it. I'm just saying.
Let me be honest. I took a wing. I took a winger on that one.
Hey, but it paid off. But I mean, our little, our little couple bucks here or there aside.
Yeah.
I mean, one, Thiago Moises is elite jiu-jitsu in the MMA game, right?
Yes.
And when he got Bobby Green in that leg lock, I'm like, oh no, it's over.
I think everybody did.
And he survived it. And he did a beautiful job defending the heel hook there. And that was really cool. All in all, it was a good fight. Like I said, I thought Bobby Green won, but it wasn't highway robbery by any means.
The thing is,
it was a close fight.
Moises, he's getting better because that Michael Johnson fight, he got picked apart on his feet, and he was throwing. He was throwing some blows. He got his respect. He got the respect from Bobby Green, I think.
Yeah, I agree.
That fight, he did. So yeah, it was a good one. Next one we had. This was another one that I feel bad for this guy, this Ontiveros kid. Props to him for stepping up on a day notice, 2 days notice, whatever he did.
Okay, so why do you feel bad?
I mean, you're throwing this kid in his UFC debut against Kevin Holland.
Okay. For the record, it ended really bad. It looked like he could have had a really, really serious bad neck injury. But verbal submission. Dana White says he was 100% healthy leaving.
Yep.
He was fine. So that's good. He left on a stretcher. So that was a little scary. I thought like I couldn't believe they didn't realize when they said like they didn't realize why he tapped and he didn't tap. I thought it was pretty clear the way that he hit. Like it could
he hit hard.
his arms weren't really moving, and I thought like that was the first thing I thought. I was like that could be a neck injury. Like we might have just seen the first guy get paralyzed in a cage.
Yeah, that wasn't
the way that it landed. It was such an unorthodox like wrestling throw, and the way his weight came down, it was that was pretty scary to me. But you gotta understand that the games, it's a high risk, high reward game that those guys are playing. The kid from Alaska, this kid, they're big underdogs, but it's a freaking fight. And he showed some stuff that
he did. I will admit he did show some stuff.
He showed some skills and some striking skills. And he's sitting there going, this Kevin Holland dude is long and lanky and just kind of stays on the outside and can touch people because of his length and his style, which Kevin Holland has a super fun fighting style to watch.
Yeah.
And he was like, you know what? I'm just as long as this guy, if not a little bit longer. I could give him some problems, mate. You know what I mean? Maybe he doesn't have to, he never deals with people with that. And he took a bet on himself. And that's what MMA fighters do. See, because we're going to have a whole conversation after this, and me and you know what it is, but we're going to have a whole conversation about some of these guys that take these last second fights. But you got to remember too, a lot of these guys, this is their dream. They're betting on themselves. Yeah. All it takes is a split second. He knocks a Kevin Holland out. Boom. He's on a 4-fight contract deal, and he's on his path to his dream.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Or he loses to a guy that he should lose to, probably goes back down to the regional circuit for another 2 to 3 fights like he was going to anyways before he got a shot.
Yeah.
What's the downside?
Maybe it does something to his confidence going in there and getting beat like that. I don't know.
You're right. I mean, and it could, and especially the injury, right? But
part of me, I think we'll finish this, but I think a lot of it is what I've been seeing it a lot lately. There's been a lot of one-sided fights, which you haven't seen in the UFC.
This card in particular.
And lately, the last few weeks, you've had some guys getting thrown in there last minute. And I get it. Look, there's a pandemic. They're trying to have fights. They're trying to put on good cards. But when I see some of these guys matched up, it's like, oh, man, look, I know it. I mean, I see what they're doing. I know what they're doing. But a part of me doesn't like it. I mean, UFC is supposed to be top. It's supposed to be the best of the best. And some of these guys, case in point, the guy that fought 2 weekends ago against Phil Hawes, that was 4-0. He gets a freaking spot on the main card. Like, great for him, but
that should have been somebody else's spot. That should have been like Alex Oliveira's spot.
Yeah,
somebody that's been in the game and earned it.
Yeah, there's other guys out there that they can find. There's how many guys on this roster now? 500 guys on the roster.
They have to be over 600-700 deep now.
Crazy. We'll finish this off and we'll touch on this a little bit more.
Okay. I'm going to play devil's advocate, but
that's fine. That's why we do the podcast.
I got you.
Greg Hardy, Maurice Green. I mean, it is what it is. Greg Hardy's. I will admit he's getting better each fight. I'd like to see him take another step up in competition now.
Well, Mo Green was a guy that was ranked 15th at one point, I believe, before a couple of elbows, right? So he's there. Like I think he's actually being brought along appropriately.
Let's give Greg Hardy somebody. Let's give him. He needs a fight. Who are we going to throw him in there against?
Okay, I got you. You ready?
Yep.
How about Greg Hardy versus Tai Tuivasa?
Ooh, I like that.
That's the fight I want to see, and I called it right after the fight.
You did.
And the reason why I want to see that fight is everybody feels Greg Hardy's power, and you can almost, besides the elite guys, right? Volkov wasn't worried about it. Yorgan De Castro broke his foot, but he actually didn't really fade and didn't show like he was afraid of Greg Hardy's power. Yeah. Right. And Greg couldn't get him out of there. He intimidates people with his power.
Yeah.
And if he can't, I mean, he beat De Castro and pretty soundly. I mean, remember De Castro's also a ballooned up 205er that is 265 for some weird reason. Get a nutritionist, bro. But yeah, Tai Tuivasa guaranteed is going to feel his power and not take a step back.
No.
Or if he feels that he's going to keep marching forward, like that he's freaking from New Zealand or Australia or whatever. Like that dude's not scared to throw down.
No, and he has the power to knock out Hardy too.
Does he?
I think he does.
Oh, I don't know about that. That would be great to see. I just think it's appropriate, right? So Tai Tuivasa moved all the way up in the ranks. He was top 10 at one point, right? He flew all the way up. Lost 3 in a row. Just won last weekend or 2 weekends ago.
Yeah.
Got back on the winning skid. They're both probably hovering right outside the top 15.
Get him in there. I like it.
That's a great matchup.
I like
Two
it.
just bangers. And if the UFC doesn't want to do that, then the other one is that homeboy that his fight just got scratched last week because his opponent was still on his PFL contract that they weren't aware of.
Oh, who was that?
Serial Gain. He's 6-0.
Oh yeah.
That dude look. I mean, he's physically imposing and jacked, and I just think he's ranked 13th right now. So if you want to give Hardy a ranked guy, I think that's the guy you give him. He's healthy. He's ready. Greg Hardy said he's ready. Would love to get one more in before the end of the year.
Yeah, Greg Hardy needs a step up. I mean, he's already had. Look, I mean, he's had 1, 2,
There's some good
3,
ones. Marcin
4.
Tabora would be a good fight.
Tabora would be good.
That Blogi Ivanov would be a good fight for him.
I mean,
all that is 13, 14, 15, or Tai Tuivasa. There's 4 options right there that are great for Greg Hardy. I believe all 4 of them. Tabora just fought. I think all 4 of them are probably available to fight before the end of the year, or at least one of the 4. Like Greg Hardy said, he was ready to fight next weekend. Like, let's get him another freaking fight.
Let's get it. Let's get it.
Quite frankly, I'm just tuning in to watch him at some point hopefully get knocked out. I get it. He served his time. He's a new person, blah, 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 blah. At the end of the day, he laid his hand on a woman, and I'm always going to cheer for him to get knocked out. Sorry.
100% with you.
If anybody doesn't like it, I said it, and I'm sticking to it. He's getting more of a pass than Michael Vick ever did. It's ridiculous.
He really is. Isn't that strange? Like, wow. Like,
and we both love dogs. Me and you both own 3 dogs, love dogs. But
yeah.
I'm just saying.
Next fight, co-main event, was probably the fight of the night. Bryce Mitchell and Andre Fili. That was a great fight. Andre Fili showed some stuff on the ground.
Andre Fili showed why he belonged up there, where he has before. But I mean, let's just call a spade. Bryce Mitchell's the real deal.
He's the real deal. Both of us thought Andre Fili was going to win that fight.
We thought this was the typical young guy getting the push too early. He was the betting favorite. That's crazy. Fili's the veteran. He was going to be able to negate a lot of Mitchell stuff, which he did a pretty good job on the ground.
Yep.
But where I was really impressed was Mitchell was beating him on the feet.
And in the second round, I think Fili started. Yeah, his takedowns were that was the difference. He could just take Fili down at will, and once he got on top of him, it was tough for Fili to get him off, which he did. He reversed a few times, but yeah, I thought that was Bryce Mitchell's the real deal, man. I like the kid. I'm a fan.
What is next for Mr. Bryce Mitchell?
Ooh, I don't know, man. Who do we got in the featherweight?
I have a couple names for you.
Throw them out there. I don't have the list right up there for me.
You tell me which one you like the most, because he was number 15, right?
Yep.
Well, sitting at number 13 is Mr. Ryan Hall.
Ooh.
The jiu-jitsu specialist.
Ooh.
Bug Nasty against Ryan Hall. Let's see what's up.
I like that. Does Ryan Hall have a fight scheduled? I could have swore I thought he had a fight scheduled.
He always has one, and then somehow they magically disappear.
Who else is up there? So that's
Dan Ige. Mr. Dan Ige.
I think he works, Dan Ige.
Okay, but I want to see it.
Yeah, I like the Ryan Hall one better.
Arnold Allen, 16-1, number 9. Tough dude.
Yeah.
He needs one more win, and then once he gets that win against somebody in that range, he is going to get thrown in there with the Jeremy Stevens, Josh Evans, Calvin Cater.
Which I think he's got a good shot at with all those guys.
Korean Zombie, the loser of Yair and Zabit. I mean, he is one more win away from getting thrown into that mix.
Yeah.
You give him a Josh Emmett or Jeremy Stevens, he beats one of those guys, and he is right in there for a number one contender fight. I mean, he's
there.
He's 4 fights away from potentially challenging for a title, and he's so young. It's hard to say that he's ready for that.
Yeah.
But what I just saw with Feely, it's like at this point now, it's like I don't really feel great betting against him ever again.
No. And we did bet against him and it didn't go our way.
Because he's elite. He's elite. He has an elite skill set. I've always talked about that. I really love guys that have an elite skill set somewhere.
Yep.
And the interesting thing with Ryan Hall is the elite of the elite at jiu-jitsu, right? Especially the featherweight division.
That would be a good matchup.
He passes that test with flying colors. Whew, we're off to Sizzler, baby.
We are off to Sizzler. Yeah, I'm a huge fan, man. After that, and after his post-fight interview, I'm a fan, man. I like him. Love that kid.
I mean, his post-fight interview,
some people may disagree with it, but
you know what? I'm gonna say this, not to get too political the day before the election, but I am gonna say this because I am wearing my Do Damage American flag t-shirt, which is on sale with all my sponsors on the back. If anybody wants to hit me up for this fight, that's what we're rocking. Walking out for this upcoming fight here in less than 2 weeks. But I will say this. I saw somebody post, he's in the MMA community, randomly added me as a friend on Facebook. I don't have a freaking clue who he is. And he posted, why are MMA fighters commenting on respiratory issues and diseases that they don't know anything else? Let me know when he gets his PhD. And Bryce Mitchell brought up some good points in his press.
Brought some great points.
One, he pays his taxes.
Yeah, that's right.
He's allowed to have an opinion.
Right on. You 100%.
Even if it's wrong, even if it's scientifically wrong. I'm not saying, I'm not a doctor, so I'm not going to say is or isn't. Two, I agree. It wasn't voted on.
Yeah.
He's like, why wasn't taking it to a vote? More people died in car crashes where he's from in Arkansas than has from the coronavirus.
Yeah.
And I understand that there's some people out there that have gotten sick, that have lasting conditions, that is as serious and it is scary. And I'm not trying to downplay or undermine any of those concerns or anything. But as Americans, when does the government cross a line of telling us what we can and can't do and what we have to do or cannot do?
There has to be a line somewhere.
Because it's because it could affect long-term people's respiratory systems. And maybe I'm totally off here, and maybe I'm going to get some hate for it, and I'm going to go along with Bryce Mitchell and say, I don't care. And if somebody wants to get into my inbox and rip me and say
You're
whatever,
gonna get so much hate.
that's fine.
You're going to get so much hate.
Explain to me why cigarettes are still legal if it's damaging to your respiratory system and other people's. Because secondhand smoke's a real thing, and they're causes problems, proven causes problems with that. And so, if you're saying that the government has the right to enforce masks and stuff and not make it optional because it's protecting them from themselves and other people in the community,
yeah, then
I don't understand why cigarettes are illegal.
Why
like them, love them or hate them. We all know what cigarettes do to your lungs.
Well, look what alcohol does.
Well, I'm just saying directly respiratory issue for respiratory issue.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, yeah.
It's something that's totally avoidable. People getting lung cancer and from smoking cigarettes, and kids having effects from like secondhand smoke, parents smoking in the home or whatever. It's something that's totally avoidable if it was made illegal. So what, like, am I grasping at straws here? Or am I too unside? I don't know. So
it all comes down to money, in my opinion. It's money related.
So but regardless of the political platform, even if he was on something that I disagreed with, yeah, I give credit to a young athlete using his platform, just like I do Donovan Mitchell and LeBron James, who are on a different side of a platform that I'm used to. He's using his platform and his time away from the actual event itself.
Yeah.
to share a message and that he believes in. And I think more athletes should be more outspoken.
I think they should as well. I think that
both sides.
Yeah, I don't have a problem with anybody. Anybody can have opinion. Any athlete that wants to have opinion on, I could care less. This is why we live in America.
That's what makes America America, right? Like the person that said that LeBron James to shut up and dribble a basketball, that's stupid.
No,
that's not right.
No,
he's entitled to an opinion. He influences a lot of people.
He has a voice and he needs to use it. I side with you. The government, there's a line, and I signed a blank check to the United States Marine Corps, the United States of America, for 5 years of my life, and
for freedom,
for freedom. And I'm just not going to have the government telling me what I can and can't do. I know there's, obviously there's laws and you got to abide by them, but yeah, we're probably getting a little bit overboard on some of this, but it is what it is.
Bring on the hate.
Yeah. You're going to get it, Zach. You are going to get it.
Come at me, bro. There's this cool little button on social media called block if you get personal.
How about the main event? I think we both knew what was going to happen in the main event. Dude,
I said it. I wanted to pick Anderson so bad and just couldn't do it. And you know what that fight was to me? I think Uriah knew in the first round he could knock him out.
Oh, 100%. 100%.
And I think Uriah didn't want to embarrass his idol in his final fight. And then Anderson touched him a few times and he said, "Oh, I'm going to fight. If I don't stop this, he could stop me." And he closed the show when he needed to.
You heard Dana White talking about he fought one of the most tentative guys in the UFC. Like if he would have fought one of these killers, he would have been out in the first round.
And by the way, I'm a ginormous fan of Uriah Hall. I would absolutely love if Uriah Hall went on a tear and went up and challenged for the 185 belt, which looks like it could be vacated soon. And I would love nothing more because I love Uriah Hall and I think he has a great story and he's a very interesting personality.
He is. He really is.
So fascinating. And I would absolutely love to watch him go on a run. And Dana White is 1000% right. Because Uriah Hall can be all world beaters, just terrifying, has some of the most terrifying knockouts you've ever seen in UFC history. Gegard Mousasi, the one from tough, knocked out Bubba McDaniels, one of our previous guests, so bad on The Ultimate Fighter with a jab, and Bubba couldn't see for
that was
scary. He's terrifying. And he also can show up and be like, "Where's the killer? Where it's like he doesn't believe in himself sometimes." And it's sad.
It's strange.
Go watch his fight with Paulo Costa. He was in the fight with Paulo Costa before he got caught too. He came like the good Uriah Hall, and he was going toe to toe with Paulo Costa.
All the potential in the world. I don't see him doing anything with it at this stage in his career, but I mean, he could. I'm not saying he can't. I don't.
Well, we're going to talk
foresee him.
We are going to talk about why after this, but I would hope. So Dana's doing this on purpose, and I hope Dana, for his own good, does not let Anderson Silva fight for another. Anderson Silva still has one more fight on his contract, and Dana's doing this for a reason. He has one more fight on his contract, and he's going to say, "Nope, you can't go fight for another promotion because you shouldn't."
He really shouldn't. I mean, I'm sorry, but he shouldn't. And
what is that? Isn't that 6 out of his last 7 fights now?
6 out of his last 7. It was. He has
including
lost.
His Nick Diaz.
Yeah, so I'm pulling it up right now as we speak on the podcast. So he has lost. Uriah Hall, Jared Cannonier, he lost. Israel Adesanya. Derek Bronson, he won by decision, but then he lost to Cormier, lost to Bisping, lost to Weidman twice. No contest with Nick Diaz before the Weidman after the Weidman.
So he's won 1 out of his last 7.
Yep, 1 out of his last 7.
So
he got knocked out by Weidman, got his leg broke by Weidman, decision from Bisping, decision.
Fair enough.
That was a bad decision. Decision to Cormier. How did he take Adesanya to decision? How does that happen?
Took Cormier to a decision, but did take that on 1 day's notice because John Jones is a junkie. Don't forget that Anderson Silva took that fight on like a day's notice.
He did.
At
he needs to hang it up.
Daniel.
I mean, he's 45. He's going to be 46 years old in April of next year. Like, it's Father Time catches up with everybody. Like, and it's caught up with him.
Everybody.
Everybody.
You know, and I mean, Jared Cannonier blew out his ACL with leg kicks.
Yeah.
You know, again, why did Israel Adesanya? How did he go to a decision? Because Israel Adesanya is a counter striker, and so is Anderson Silva.
So is Silver. Yep.
And they played a game of high level chess. And if you go watch that fight again, a lot of people called it boring. I didn't think it was boring. I thought it was entertaining because they were both playing this high level chess strike game, but it wasn't the most action packed fight ever. It was fun. And Izzy again knew he could beat him by outpointing him and not knocking him out. And I don't think Israel Adesanya wanted to knock out his hero.
I think you could see it in the fight, and you could see it after the fight when they were both down on their knees and he's like, I'm sorry. Like, I
crying.
100% agree with you. He didn't want to do it.
Because Uriah Hall can be a killer, but I don't think in his heart of hearts he is.
No. Where's Silva at on your greatest of all time list? Is he on your Mount Rushmore?
Absolutely.
I think he's got to be. He's got to be up there.
16 in a row wins in the UFC. Yeah. Unprecedented. The only one that has a chance to really touch that is John Jones. He's at 13. Now that Khabib is gone.
Now that Khabib is gone. Yeah.
So the only active fighter that has a chance at it is John Jones.
So who's on your list? Who's on your Mount Rushmore?
Well, Mount Rushmore is different than GOAT too, right? But when I look at my Mount Rushmore, I'm talking about people who defined the sport.
Yeah, so let's not do that. Let's just do your top 4 fighters, greatest of all time, top 4.
Any order?
Any order.
So who I would put in there, and I'm gonna get so much for this. I will put I'm putting Anderson Silva on there.
Yeah.
I am putting Mighty Mouse on there.
Yeah.
I'm putting GSP on there.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm putting Khabib on there.
You're taking Jones. You're not having Jones on the list. It's interesting. No Jones. Why no Jones? I'll tell you why
because the 4 guys I just described are actual martial artists and have some respect for the sport.
I was going to say the same thing. My greatest of all time is, which everybody has the right to opinion. Look, what John Jones has done inside the cage is phenomenal.
Absolutely.
But do I want my kids growing up to follow what he's done?
Well, it's not even that for me. It's what's being a martial artist. It's Mighty Mouse is it's respect.
It's respect. And those guys that you listed all are not only martial artists in the cage, but they are outside the cage as well. And that, to me, that's my difference as well. I'm 100% with you. I've gone back and forth trying to rationalize this in my head. Obviously, I was all over Khabib a couple weeks ago, and I still am. But I mean, you can't take away what Jones has done inside the cage. Hands down, it's probably the most impressive record in all of mixed martial arts, with who he's beaten and how long he's beaten him. But the outside the cage antics,
he has the best resume. John Jones
has the best resume, but where he loses me, where he loses a lot of fans, is the outside that.
And to be clear, I want to be a John Jones fan so bad.
Everybody does. I think everybody does.
Because he's great, and I am attracted to greatness. And it's why, even though one of my favorite fighters is Conor McGregor and Justin Gaethje, and Khabib smashed both of them, and had his pretty dark, angry feud with Conor and all that. At the end of the day, I appreciate greatness in sports, and Khabib is great. And so you have to be a fan of his. And like, I didn't want to be a fan of Khabib, but he's so awesome that eventually I became a fan of Khabib. I want to be a fan of John Jones, but because he's such a loser and wastes so many opportunities, that I just can't be a fan of his.
I think the majority of the people I think would say the same thing. But I mean, you can't deny the resume that. But as far as greatest of all time,
sick. He's beating everybody. I mean, but I'm going to say this too, and he's done this to himself.
Oh yeah.
I don't know how much of that resume has he done because he was on something. Yeah, he's put that own cloud over himself though.
Well, you could say the same thing about Anderson Silva though too.
Got it cleared.
Yeah.
And it was one time.
I mean, I could care less about that. To me, that holds no weight with me.
I know, but what did we just talk about? Respect for the sport and being a mixed martial artist.
Yeah.
Performance enhancing drugs doesn't go. That negates that. Yeah. So Anderson Silva, and maybe Anderson Silva was on something, and whatever. But to me, a guy that was a one-time offender, especially in his older age, is a little bit different to me than a guy that it would appear, at least there's a cloud of doubt or uncertainty of maybe he was on it through his entire run.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know. Because the other thing is too, is like, it's not like Anderson was like rocking like this incredible physique during all that.
He's not like Vitor Belfort or
he's
Alistair
not
Overeem.
Yeah, he's not Uber Reem or TRT Vitor. Vitor, who he kicked in the face. It is like one of my favorite knockouts of all time. That's the other thing too that I think about it. Like moments. When you talk about GOAT, and you talk about your four guys, what's your John Jones moment that you're just like, oh my gosh, he's incredible?
I mean, really, it's just the longevity and who he's beaten, but he really hasn't had that.
When mine for him probably is when he standing guillotined Lyoto Machida to sleep. That was impressive. That was like, oh my gosh, right?
I mean,
but I go through there like Mighty Mouse's flying armbar finish was like the sickest on was it Ray Bork on a black belt in jiu-jitsu? I mean, that was like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Who does that, right? Like, who does that to a black belt? Freaking Mighty Mouse. GSP coming back after a 4-year layoff and knocking out Bisping. And I get Bisping was, but like GSP was freaking GSP. And, and beating Matt Hughes and all, I mean, his resume isn't too bad.
His resume is pretty damn impressive. The thing that
Khabib getting 3 finishes and 3 title fights against Poirier, Gaethje, Conor, like that's always going to be imprinted in my brain. And then of course, it's like, and then Anderson, he has so many highlight reel knockouts. Like his one of Forrest Griffin is like mind-blowingly incredible. The front kick to Vitor. I mean, it's
impressive, man. It's time for him to hang him up though. And do not go to bare knuckle boxing, Anderson Silva, please.
Or to One, or to Pride, or to Ryzen. Not Pride, but Ryzen. Don't
go into coaching, coach some of these younger fighters up. Yeah, it's time to hang him up for the spider.
I hope so.
What else do we got? What else were we going to talk about today?
Well, you want to talk about the state of, we have 2 things. You wanted to talk about the state of the roster in some of these matchups.
Yeah.
A little bit more.
Yeah. I mean, we've kind of talked about this a little bit on and off for the last couple of weeks. And I don't know if the UFC seems to be, it's clearly it's growing because we're getting fights every weekend when we were only getting them once a month. But kind of a trend that I've been kind of noticing a little bit is, like I touched on earlier, you're starting to see a little more of these mismatches where you didn't see them before. And I kind of don't like it. Like, There's like you said, there's levels to this. You have your local scene, you have your regional scenes, then you start getting up into your bigger shows like your UFCs. But I do not want to see a guy that's 4-0 take a short notice fight, whether that's your big opportunity or not. I don't want to see it. He has not earned the right to take that fight, in my opinion. Like, it's maybe that's their only option. You know, as me, you know me, I'm a business guy. I know they need to put people in the cage and they want to give fighters opportunities. If it means not having fights every weekend, then do that. But I just don't want.
That was going to be my question. The alternative is switching to every other weekend versus every weekend, right?
Or have LFA fights every week, or Bellator fights every week, but don't have a top level UFC fight every week. When I shouldn't say every week. You can have it every week, but I just don't want to see these short notice fights where these guys that just do not belong there. So
I have a question.
Go ahead.
Because we just saw Joaquin Buckley get knocked out. He was one of those short notice guys.
Yeah.
LFA level guy. The short notice guy get knocked out by Kevin Holland, right?
Now.
Turn around.
Yeah.
Got another opportunity on a full fight camp, and he's a freaking superstar now.
So here's where I'm going to go on the other side of that. If you're fighting in the LFA and you've had fights in LFA, that's proven to be the stepping stone to get to the UFC. I'm talking these guys that haven't even been in the LFA. You got this guy at that Alaska fighting championship, whatever. You got the guy that trained with Robert Whitaker that hasn't even sniffed any kind of competition.
That was a homie hookup. That was a Robert Whitaker saying, "Throw my guy a bone."
But even he's my
sparring partner.
You're going to put him on the main card? Like, have him be the first fight of the night at least.
Yeah, but I get what you're saying, and I respect it. And you know what? And if the answer is every other weekend, then I almost want to flip you off here on camera because I love having the fights every weekend.
I do too. I just hate the mismatches.
I get it.
Yeah.
But the other side of it too is right. It is a business. You're a business owner. So am I. And Dana's trying to make money. And what's one of the most profitable things for Dana White? Creating superstars. And guess what? If he sees something in Phil Haas and he's sitting there going, I'm like, we got a guy who wants to fight. He's 4-0. You know, it's a reach, but we're going to try and sell it. We're going to put it on a main card. We're going to put it on we're going to put it on an awesome, main card with a Robert Whitaker, Jared Cannonier, followed by, what was the main event 2 weekends ago?
Was that more of a homie hookup for?
It was a homie hookup for Robert Whitaker's boy that's been his sparring partner.
For him, or was it for the hookup to Hawes to say, "Hey, here's your chance to get a freaking highlight reel"? It was Khabib Gaethje. It was on the Khabib Gaethje.
Oh, that's right. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Khabib Gaethje. But you know what I mean? Like, it's both. It's both, right? Robert Whitaker is going to bat for his guy. His guy's like, man, I wish. And, the guy's probably giving him hard rounds. And Robert Whitaker's like, you could compete in the UFC. Like, you compete with me. And I was a freaking champion. And he goes to Dana White and he says, I got this training partner. He's pretty good. He's only 4-0, but he trains with me every day. And Dana White's like, okay, I got this young stud killer. We're going to feed him to him and we're going to find out real quick how good he is. And Robert Whitaker goes, bet. And homie signs the contract and Phil Haas signs the contract. But whoever wins that fight, though, as long as it's not a boring fight, Dana White wins.
Yeah, Dana White does win as a business guy.
Right? Because now Phil Haas has a highlight reel knockout in a UFC octagon that they can sit there and pump for his next fight. It's a win.
That's true. It's definitely building him up but it didn't do nothing to Malkoon.
But what if the other guy wins? What if the other guy knocks out Phil Haas and be like, I'm saying anything can happen in a fight, right?
It's like
we see upsets.
It's like McGregor beating Mayweather. It wasn't happening.
That's a low blow.
Oh man.
I can't believe you went there, and I don't know if I want to talk to you anymore.
You know what I'm saying, man. I just want to see. I want to see competition, man. Like, and maybe we've gotten spoiled over the years of watching all these fights.
No. We haven't been spoiled over the years. We've been spoiled over the quarantine because they have put on an insane amount of fights. And if you go and look at the mismatches versus the good fights, dude, it's 10-1 easy.
You're right. You're right.
It's
It really
10-1 easy. And
yeah.
if somebody said, hey, just so you know, we're going to go on a pandemic, the world's going to shut down, and the only live sports we're going to get is going to be MMA for like months. And oh, by the way, 9 out of 10 fights is going to be pretty competitive. Would you sign up for that? Because I would every weekend.
It really has just been the last couple of weeks. Honestly, for the whole pandemic wise, we really haven't had a bad card. Honestly, I mean, this last Saturday, I'm going to go out I'm not even going to go out on a limb. I'm going to say it. That LFA card was way better than Saturday's UFC fight.
Top to bottom, fight to fight. The LFA card probably was more entertaining all the way through.
That was, entertaining. Entertainment value wise, yeah.
But this UFC card, like, there's still fun stuff on it.
Yeah, there was.
It was fun.
I'm just being nitpicky because
I know you're being. Gosh, did you?
I'm being a freaking journalist, man. We do too many of these podcasts, and
no, don't go there. No, but I mean, I get what you're saying, and you're right. But you got to understand too, right? Like a lot of these guys, they're just trying to fulfill their dream. Of course, they're going to take fights that they know that they know that they probably shouldn't, because it's worth the risk to them. Let me make this loud and clear. For anybody that might be listening, if you think a fighter is taking a fight on a bigger show that that you don't think that they are ready for, and you think it's a bad matchup, and whatever else your opinion is, maybe it's worth it to them. And oh, by the way, it's not like those regional circuit fights are like actively putting on a ton of shows right now. This might be their only opportunity to fight in months.
JV, what's up, brother? Thanks for watching. Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, I mean,
well,
that kid from Alaska, when's the last time he's had a fight? When's the last time they put on fights in Alaska, you think?
And that they're probably getting a nice payday. What are they getting on the regional scene? Maybe a couple grand. They're getting what, 10, 12 grand to be on the UFC. So, I mean, they are making a little bit more coin.
They're getting a bump.
And they're getting their name out there.
Win or lose, it's, man, if you're a regional guy and you're not ready for the UFC, but you get a call, dude, it's worth the risk. It's worth the risk.
The last time Alaska had fights was probably back in February, by the way. I mean, for the record, I mean, we were looking at this guy. He's 7-3. He's finished all of his opponents by punches.
Right.
But who's he fighting? He's fighting he did beat an 8-1 guy. Then it was 2-1, 1-1, 0-3, loses to the 8-5, loses to a 2-0. He beats a 0-0, 0-0, 0-0. So he really didn't fight anybody. So I expect him to knock people out. But anyways.
Well, you know, it is what it is.
I'm just complaining. I'm
complaining because the Buccaneers just gave up a touchdown with 28 seconds left. They were up by 8 and gave up a touchdown with 28 seconds left.
So I covered. Yes.
And then
and
then the Giants, it looks like, didn't get the 2-point conversion. No, they did not. And they're going to lose by 2. And the Buccaneers are going to win 25-23, it would appear, unless the Giants get an onside kick here.
Well, I'll take it.
I hate my life.
I'll take it. The over 46.5, baby. Boom.
We're in my teaser. Whatever. Hello, loser.
Anyways,
let's wrap up on this.
All right.
Weird news. Weird? Exciting? I don't know. What's your take on it? Israel Adesanya versus Jan Blachowicz for the 205 title.
I like it. I'm surprised the line's so big.
You like it?
I like it. Have him go. Yeah. There's nobody at 185 I want to see him fight.
Oh, we could not disagree on this more.
Yeah. Why? Who at middleweight do you want to see him fight? I don't want to see him fight Robert Whittaker.
John will address that just after this.
So you know. I don't want to see him fight Whittaker again. There's nobody else I want to see him fight. So let him move up. Let him, which I don't think is going to be a cakewalk because Blachowicz could knock his freaking head off. What's this? If he wins, then John Jones is going to say, I want my belt back.
No, I get all that, and I'm aware of all that. But
who do you see him fight?
I want to see him fight the winner of Jack Hermanson and Darren Till.
No, winner. They're not fighting. They're not fighting.
How are either of them not a viable contender?
I think he walks through both of those guys.
Okay, let's see it happen then. I think he does too, but I think the Darren Till fight's super fun.
I think the Darren Till fight would be fun, and the trash talk would be even funner.
Epic.
Epic
Can you imagine the Twitter
trash talk between those two?
But so it's marketable. Here's what I like. This is what I don't like at all. I think it was extremely disingenuous. What did he just say after his last fight? I want to clean out the division. I want to do what Anderson Silva did. I have big shoes to follow. I'm going to defend this belt for a long time. I'm not ready to go up and fight John Jones yet. That fight will be there maybe next year, in the next couple of years. Like, I mean, he said all this stuff. And did I just lose you?
No, I'm on there. You're frozen though.
Man.
You're frozen. Can you hear me? Can you hear me?
What happened?
It's you. It's your.
It switched my internet.
Oh, Zach's got cheap internet. We had this problem earlier.
No, that was different. Shut up. So where did I cut out?
Can we do a shirt that says "Shut up" on it?
Yes,
just
absolutely.
Shut up with damage plan on the back. Shut up.
Shut your face. Where did I cut out?
Anderson Silva saying he wants to clear out the division, which he pretty much.
He hasn't cleared out the division yet, though. He hasn't.
Who else does he need to beat?
He doesn't need to beat any of them, but I think it's really crappy that he said, I want to follow in Anderson's footsteps and defend this title and blah, 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 blah. And he says all this stuff. And then.
When is Darren Till and Hermanson? You know?
This year?
Is it this year?
Did I really?
I thought you did.
No, I didn't. I'm just looking it up. Sorry.
So that fight is scheduled for. I'm pulling it up right now.
That fight is scheduled for
December 5th. So you
technically,
you. I mean, I see what you're saying, but I want to see him step up. He needs some competition.
Okay, but so is he doing the champ thing? He gets
let him
his 185 belt, and he's going to pop between both divisions and defend both. He's going to do the Amanda Nunez thing,
or if not, give up his belt and let the winner of Till Hermanson fight Robert Whitaker, and then the winner of that fights.
But we just saw Till and Whitaker.
You wouldn't want to see them run it back. It's a great fight.
It was a great fight, but Till Whitaker pretty handily beat him. It wasn't like uber like.
I mean,
point was Whitaker was never in danger in that fight.
He got dropped in that fight.
Oh yeah, he did, huh?
He did get dropped in that fight.
I'm so stupid. Don't listen to me, folks.
I mean, I don't know. I mean, I'm not faulting him for moving up. I just think.
And by the way,
to fight Jan, it just feels like it's kind of like.
By the way, Jan just won the belt, and there is a row of killers that are waiting to challenge him.
Yeah, I was good. Yeah,
that's not fair to them.
I was good. Yeah, that was going to be my next point. Was at that.
So one, Izzy said that he wanted to defend it the way Anderson did, not doing that. 2, Izzy just gets to jump all of those guys. I mean, we have a fight next weekend, Santos and Teixeira. Both of those guys deserve a shot at it.
Who do you? Yeah, that's the winner of that should be fighting.
Absolutely
for the fight instead of Izzy. I really mainly want to see it because I want to see him get knocked out. But that's just
Izzy.
Yeah, I want to see Jan just. Yeah, I think he's too quick.
I think at 205, I agree. Daniel Cormier said this, and I agree with him. I think at 205, Izzy is still too skillful that their power doesn't matter because they're not going to be able to touch him, just like Paulo Costa. I mean, by the way, Paulo Costa is every bit as big as any of those 205ers, and he couldn't touch him. Like those guys, like Jan Blachowicz, that Polish power, that's great and all, but the punch has got to land, dude, and Izzy's never there to get hit.
Yeah. I don't know. Hey, Dana's trying to make money.
Which,
Put it on.
and you're right. That's the roadmap, right? He goes, he beats Jan, and then John Jones is probably sitting cage side or whatever. And John Jones comes in, he's like, I'm going to come back and take back my 205 throne and blah, blah, blah. And then we're going to see John Jones versus Israel Adesanya for the 205 title to see who the real champ of 205 is. Probably fall of 2021.
And then you'll have Santos probably, because I'm assuming he's going to get Bastek's there. Not an easy cakewalk, but I think he's going to win. And then Santos, who should be the champ because
he just gets to sit there
because he beat John Jones, is going to have to. Well, he didn't beat him on the record, but let's face it, he won that fight.
I thought he won that fight.
And then now he has to sit all year or take another fight. Yeah,
against the winner probably of Dominic Reyes and that jury.
JV is very adamant about the UFC paying their fighters. Yes, they do, JV.
Okay,
Uncle Dana.
Okay, JV. I'm gonna because we've done this, and I am a advocate for fighter pay, and I would like the fighters to make more money. There are some fighters just aren't worth it. There, I'm gonna say it. Some fighters are not the best businessmen. They are not the best at advertising for themselves. They are not the best at doing a lot of things. Most fighters, very small percentage of them, are actually decent businessmen and bring Dana a ton of value. And that number is small. And at the end of the day, you have to understand. Well, I mean, ideal world, the fighters make more money. Absolutely, I would love for them. I would love to see them get rid of the win bonus. They're all going in there to try and win, or else they're going to be out of the UFC. I can get on board with that. But to say they need to pay them more money because it's not enough, and I agree that if you're a professional fighter, you should at least be able to make enough to, live and after taxes and paying coaches and managers and a nutritionist and all, the list goes on. There's not a lot left over for these fighters, and I get that. But they all are also giving all a platform that they can go back and say, I'm a UFC fighter. They're all given a platform that they could make more money,
but they can't. If you remember right, when we talked to, it was either Justin Ledet or Bubba, where they can't say UFC fighter or they get in trouble. Like if they're at a gym and you say, hey, UFC fighter Zach Partridge is coming to do a seminar today. Like they can't use UFC fighter. They can just say MMA fighter. It's if I'm not mistaken, it was Justin that told me that. And I could be wrong, and we might need to do some research. So if you're listening, maybe we need some clarification.
No, you're right. And
so they're not letting.
I understand that, but guess what? If you're a good fighter and you're fighting in the UFC,
you're gonna. Yeah.
Don't you think the buzz is around? Be like, hey, this guy's doing a seminar. So and so, they're advertising. This guy's doing a seminar.
Why not just let? Just let them use it. Just let them use it.
Well, because they're petty businessmen, and it is what it is. But people need to understand this, and this is where I'll say I'll empathize as a business owner myself. This is where I empathize. Dana White's, his job is to go back to the company that bought Zuffa. Why can't I remember their initials right now? Whatever alphabetical letters. His job is to make sure that their bottom line is in the green as much as possible. Because I don't know if people remember, they're still carrying a $4.2 billion note that they have to pay. And there are people that own shares on that board and that he has to report to, and he has to answer to those people.
Yeah.
He is the president of the company. He owns a small portion of the company. That does not mean that he doesn't have anybody to answer to. His job as a businessman and the president of a company is that bottom line and to be profitable.
Yeah.
And I think Dana does a pretty dang good job of putting on as many fights as he can for the fans and building something that we can all get through quarantine. But at the same time, he is doing what he has to be able to go to his shareholders and all those celebrities that own a piece of the UFC when they sold it for $4.2 billion and that entertainment company that holds the majority share ownership. He has to go to them and show that they're profitable and making money during a pandemic that by the way, other leagues are bleeding. All other major sports in this country are bleeding financially right now.
Yeah.
The Jazz did not sell because for kicks and giggles. The Utah Jazz just sold because they sold before they're terrified that their value crashes.
Smart move.
Smart move. Way smart move. And they sold it to a guy that has FU money and it's going to spend a ton, and he doesn't care about the money. He's a lifelong Jazz fan and just wants to try and buy a championship for Utah.
Yeah.
Props to him, and as a Jazz fan, I'm really excited.
If he can get the talent here.
But needless to say, all other major sports are bleeding. Dana White's putting on shows and he's making money right now.
He's doing a good job. How much do the fighters get paid for wearing Reebok? Do you know what percentage they get?
No, it depends on how many fights on their UFC contract they've had. So the longer they've been with the UFC, the more money that they make.
The more chunk they get. I'd like to see them be able to get a little bit more from sponsors.
The Reebok deal is, and this is where it's tough, and this is where it goes to the bad business. The Reebok deal screwed about 10% of the fight, 5 to 10% of the fighters. All the big names, they got hosed with the Reebok deal.
Yeah.
But 90% of the fighters that don't market themselves well, that don't do a good job getting sponsorships, that don't do the necessary things, the extra miles, that don't start their own podcasts to create their own platform.
There's been a lot of them.
Blah, 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 blah. Taking the different avenues to make money that they can do while being professional athletes. They don't take those opportunities. They're grateful for the Reebok deal, which
is going away next year.
Venom, which I think is going to be better. From all accounts, it's supposed to be better, which is really cool.
Speaking of fighter podcasts, there's a lot of fighters coming up with podcasts now.
There are, but again,
I mean, they're not as good as ours, but whatever. Just because you fought in the UFC, woo.
Yeah. Man. Well, and I don't mean to say it, but a lot of those guys, we see it on the regional circuit, and we see it. We see it in the UFC. Some of those guys they don't know what they're doing marketing wise. They don't know how to market themselves. They don't understand what kind of platform they can use. I mean, Darren Till having a personality and being as good as he is on social media, that attributes to much to his stardom as his performance in the cage.
I think you're starting to see more.
They're trying.
They're trying. You're starting to see the fighters starting to recognize that.
But me and you, how many charismatic fighters have we had on this podcast over the last month and a half? But me and you we can go through. I'll bet you we could come up with a list of 10 really quick that you could say all the talent in the world don't really sell themselves.
Oh, I guarantee you we could. I guarantee. And then we could probably make that same list and say, this guy could make he could make some money if he keeps it up. I mean, we've had some good ones on here.
Absolutely.
And that's not a knock on anybody.
And it's not a good, because I am all for fighters getting paid more. And I'm all for fighters just sticking to who they are and being who they are. But
sounds like you and I need to.
But if they're boring, that's because they are athletes and afraid to find managers, because once they do, can't cuss them off. That's not true. I mean, almost all the fighters on the UFC roster
they
have managers.
Yeah, they all have managers. It's just the ones that have the good ones.
I mean, Iridium Sports, homeboy
Ali Al-Bazi or whatever.
He represents 300 fighters. Most of those guys in the UFC have managers. I mean, we're starting to see young amateur prospects signing with managers. We got hit up with Iridium Sports, that Billy Alinka, and a couple other amateur fighters that are big names. People are starting to go after amateurs and sign them as.
Yeah.
It's a big deal. I mean, Damage Plan MMA podcast is my manager, and Jason's my manager. So it just is what it is.
So I get a cut of your ticket sales?
No, get out of here.
I get a hoodie. I get a free hoodie.
Yeah.
I'm excited for your hoodies, man. If you guys haven't seen these hoodies, and these are not
sick.
These are not your cheap hoodies that you buy at Walmart. These are comparable to Under Armour, Nike, Jordan. These are, if you want to go to Shields or any one of these, you can go wherever go to the Under Armour outlet and look at the Rocks hoodies, the ones with the Brahma bull on the front. That's what they're That's what they're going to look like. That's what they're going to feel like. What's that?
Do you smell what the Rock is cooking?
No, I really don't. So this funny story before we get off here. So I have the Rocks sweatpants. I love the sweatpants. They're baggy. I'm a more baggy sweatpant guy.
Me too.
And the Rock sweatpants are really nice, the gray ones. So I go to the gym, and my coach, he's like, I was like, dude, you got to get these sweatpants. He's like, I'm not buying anything with the Rock on it.
Well, man,
because of his stance he has taken. He's obviously pissed off a few people, but I could care less. I'm still wearing the sweat. So
I'm not a
Hillary can't wait for her hoodie.
Well, it's fantastic.
She's going to be the first one to get one.
Probably.
Oh, by the way, I don't know why I'm telling you this on air, but your hoodie should be done probably Monday.
Dope. And
You're
the
welcome.
shirts later.
No, they're all going to be done.
Dope.
He's going to have, I told him you needed them by the 12th, and he's like, oh, I'll have them done way before that. I'll probably have them done Monday, he said.
That would be sick.
Yes.
And then Taylor, then my nephew Taylor can run him around for a week.
Yeah. Poor Taylor.
You know what? He didn't listen to the podcast. I could say whatever I want about him.
Yeah. That's kind of what I talk when I talk crap about my wife, because she never listens either. So
yeah. And I have nothing bad to say about my wife ever, because she's an angel. She's perfect. And I love her.
Good job, Zach. Happy wife, happy life.
Ain't that the truth?
You better you know what we need to do after your fight is we need to go out to dinner.
Yeah.
That's what we need to do.
All four of us. Let's go.
Yeah. We all need to go out to dinner.
Somewhere nice.
Go to Fleming's, go to somewhere like that.
Roos Chris.
Same thing. 6s. Flip a coin.
6s, huh?
You've never been to Fleming's?
Nope.
It's 6. It's Roos Chris. It's same thing.
Which one's more expensive?
They're the 6. It's 6s.
Oh, okay.
It's literally 6s. I love both. Or like Spencer's. I'm a snob.
Bro, have you ever been to Anasazi in St. George? You cook your own steak on it, like an.
I saw that. You posted it. Didn't you just post that?
Lucas Montoya did.
Oh, Lucas did.
It's a different one, but the one in St. George, dude, it's money.
Yeah, I'm a steak snob. Like
it's the best.
I'm a steak snob. I won't get one at like Lone Star or freaking
Texas Roadhouse.
I won't get a steak there. Nope, ain't happening.
Dude, we can't be friends.
It's not comparable. Just like fighting, Zach, there's levels to steak. And freaking Texas Roadhouse is not on Roos Chris's level.
On my birthday, I had a medium steak, and it was delicious.
Was it Texas Roadhouse?
It was really good.
Is it Roos Chris delicious, though?
No.
There's levels.
But guess what? My dinner for my entire family plus my nephew cost the same amount as my one dinner for Roos Chris.
As your entree at Roos Chris.
Facts.
Oh, man. All right. Well,
we covered a lot tonight.
We did.
We'll talk later this week. We have some more fighter spotlights. We're going to talk to Carson Hardman later this week.
Friday.
His upcoming fight for XFC in Atlanta. He's fighting in a tournament. Pretty sick fight and a pretty tough dude. But I like Carson's odds because you got to find the off switch with that dude because he'll never quit. He'll never die. So he's super exciting. There's some other fighters on the card that we would love to get on.
Yeah, there's a handful of guys on there.
Zach Cavender.
Oh, I messaged him today. He's ready to come on.
Skylar Frazier and my boy Cole Machine.
Cole
Faust, Ryan Faust. I'm going to bug you guys too because you guys got to come on.
I don't know how many times we've tagged them and stuff. I did message Cav today and he said he's down to come on. So we just need to set that up with him. Oh, I need to message that guy. You want to know who we need to get on, who I've been messaging back was the guy that Steve's fighting, Sharp. Because those of you that are listening, go read some of the comments.
Yeah,
read some of the comments between.
Come on.
You know what would have been fun? Getting those guys on at the same time. Maybe not. Maybe not.
They wouldn't have been an interview. They would have just been like back and forth, and me and you would have just been like, "This is great."
Yeah, you wouldn't have been able to let your kids listen to that one. That's for sure. Yeah. Anyways. All right, man. Well, that was fun.
Have a good night.
Talk to you later.
Bye.
We out.